Hey, good morning. I'm Patricia Murphy. It's Friday. This is Seattle Now. This week, Seattle's known for being a magical place this time of year, but boy, have we upped the ante. It's hot rat summer. The notorious mosaic at Cal Anderson Park is sparking heated debates about art, graffiti, and rats. Plus, new statistics show Seattleites love to ride Lime e-bikes and scooters, but we aren't great at wearing helmets. We'll dig into all of it with science journalist Jane KUOW and Seattle Met food and drink editor Naomi Tomky. But first, let's get you caught up. If you have questions for the candidates running to fill the now vacant District 5 Seattle City Council seat, keep them handy. On Monday, youth arts organization Unified Outreach will host a candidate community forum. Go in person at North Seattle Community College or watch it online. The fun starts at 5:30. It's open to the public, and you don't even need to pre-register. Just show up. This weekend is packed with fun things to do in the city if you're willing to work around the nightmare I-5 closure-induced traffic. Capitol Hill Block Party starts Saturday and runs through Sunday. Don't forget, this year it's 21 plus. In SoDo, the Seattle Art Fair is taking over Lumen Field and Events Center. And in Discovery Park, check out the Seafair Indian Days powwow in its 36th year. And hey, we don't talk about it too often, but listener support is what keeps this podcast going. Congress officially approved a rescission request yesterday that takes back previously approved funds for public media. It's a serious threat to stations like KUOW and podcasts like Seattle Now. If you want to support us, now is the time. Become a monthly member at whatever amount fits your budget. And thanks. Just follow that link in the show notes to do your part. Check back for more headlines on tonight's episode of Seattle Now. It's Friday again. Wow, it was hot this week. Hope you found a cool place to be. Jane KUOW is here. She's a local science journalist. How you doing, Jane?
Good. How are you?
All right. Naomi Tomky is here, too. She's Seattle Met's food and drink editor. Naomi, how's it going?
It's going pretty good.
Before we dive in, you two grocery store-related news items this week. The Seattle Times reports Trader Joe's may be coming to Northgate, and PCC opened up its smaller grab-and-go presence in downtown Seattle. The Times found city permits that show Trader Joe's is hoping to open in a new location at Northgate Station. Seattle has 6 Trader Joe locations already. The most recent location opened up in Greenwood earlier this year. It's been packed. The U District has a TJ's, and that's pretty close to Northgate. All right, to both of you, is this too much TJ's, or are you ready for more Joe's O's?
Bring on the TJs. I mean, I feel like each has its own little niche, right? Like, if I can see a Northgate one being useful, if you're getting off light rail, you want to get a little something, you want to get your groceries, get back on light rail and take them home. Because I feel like the U District one is just a trap for any way that you try and get there besides walking. Unless you live in the U District, it is kind of a nightmare to get to.
Definitely an adventure in the parking garage.
Yes. The Greenwood one so far has been pretty chill from my experience, but, you know, I feel like where they build a TJ's, people will come.
I mean, I live in Greenwood, so I've been stoked on having the Greenwood one available to me. You know, I used to work in grocery, and they study people's shopping habits very hard. So if TJ's thinks that there is space for another TJ's, I would bet there's space for another TJ's.
You think they have the data to back that up, that's a smart move?
I absolutely do.
Okay, I am personally very excited about the Northgate TJ's because I do frequent the one in the U District because I work here and I walk down. You're right, that's the way to do it, walk down during lunch. But, oh man, I can just imagine myself getting off the light rail, grabbing a couple of things on my walk home. Oh, I love it. I love it. All right, well, on to the new PCC. That takes the place of a much larger store that couldn't afford to stay open in that location. The logic here is that people who love PCC's hot bar and grab-and-go options are going to frequent that store. So it's a better use of space downtown. You think this is a solid move? Like you just said, they do good research here. Will this leaner PCC capitalize on the downtown lunch crowd?
I think it's a brilliant move. I suspect some of their studies for the larger downtown one happened under slightly different circumstances than it actually opened in. And they went startup style and said, hey, we're failing real fast. Let's regroup, figure it out. I just think having a huge grocery store in downtown in this era is hard for many reasons, not the least of which loss prevention. You just have to have so many more people. And in an area where that's a concern, it's going to be real hard.
Okay. All right. How often do you grab lunch out during the week?
Probably at least once. I mean, and that's a lot coming from someone who generally works from home.
All you have to do is go to your fridge.
But I mean, I do actually, there's a PCC not far from my house. I just walk over there, grab something. It's cheaper than going to a restaurant, and it's pretty good. So,
Naomi, do you go out a lot?
It's my job.
Oh, right. But you have an expense account. It's a little different for that, Lunchy.
It's not an expense account that gets me eating out all the time. Some of that's on my own.
All right. Well, before we move on, if you had to choose between TJ's and PCC, which one are you choosing and why?
I gotta go affordability. So TJ's. I feel like TJ's occupies this great sweet spot in between gross out, grocery outlet for those who don't call it gross out, like the cheapest option, but you can't always count on what's going to be there. And then you've got the kind of mid QFC, Safeway, and then the really expensive, PCC Met Market stuff. I feel like TJ's is like the nice in between of all that.
I want to go with local and union and say PCC, but I am like everyone else, as every grocery study has ever stated, and I shop what's close to my house.
Okay.
And now that is TJ's.
Okay. All right. Well, then I have to ask, if you could only pick one item from TJ's, what are you picking?
Hash brown patties.
Oh, so
those are good.
Frozen, easy in the morning, cheap. There was a time that they were out, that I think sometime in lockdown era, where I was miserable. And then my husband came back with like 4 packets of them when they had them in stock again. And I was like, wow, my hero, like hunter-gatherer who...
So they have these microb rice snacks. I can't explain them. They're delicious. They're like a Thai appetizer in chip form.
Ooh.
And they come in these like bags that look like they're just more than one serving, but it's never lasting.
All right. I'll fight you for a dark chocolate ganache cake.
Nice.
The ratio of cake to frosting is absolute perfection in that item. And I have to say, it kind of got ruined because New York Times Wirecutter profiled the best items from Trader Joe's, and that was among them. And I noticed the prices increased just a little bit.
But if they still exist, that's a win at Trader Joe's.
It is a win. All right, on to the big story of the week. It's not just summer in Seattle, it's hot rat summer. If you've been to Cal Anderson Park in the past few weeks, you may have caught a glimpse of a tile mosaic of a rat built into an otherwise bland building owned by Seattle Public Utilities. The sun-bathing rat sits next to a heart with words, Hot Rat Summer, at the bottom. The city painted over the mural in March, but some devoted fans stripped that paint off. It's been a cycle like this for the past few months. Someone paints it over, someone strips the paint, it becomes Hot Rat Summer once again. Everybody rejoices, it gets painted again, offerings go up, then it's stripped again. Happening up to this week. All right, I have to ask you, have you seen what fans are calling Saint Rat up close at Cal Anderson?
It's beautiful. I love it. It's my favorite city piece of art.
Oh,
and
my
I've been
gosh.
following the saga very closely. So.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, I saw it before I realized it was a thing and was like, oh, that is such a cool addition. And then just like this week I learned, and now I too am following the saga very closely.
Okay, I want to know more about why you like this, but I do think, in my opinion, this is very well executed as a mosaic, right? It's well framed. It took real work to make it look like this, but it is on a building owned by Seattle Public Utilities, which is the problem. Does this unsanctioned art have a place in the city?
I think that it is forcing us to have an interesting conversation about what is graffiti and what is art. Or, I mean, is graffiti art? Like, what is the line between graffiti we will accept and paint over versus graffiti that we will sanction in some way? I mean, I think a lot about what qualifies as graffiti in the case of murals. Like, people are paying, including the city, are paying artists to put up murals. I remember doing a story in 2020 when a lot of stores were closed and they were boarding up the storefronts, and they were paying artists, who were generally graffiti artists, to paint interesting things on them. And now it seems like, with this mosaic, which clearly took a lot of work and skill and time, painting over it takes no time, it feels like. And the fact that people are taking more time to painstakingly remove that paint so that it can be visible again. It's an interesting tug.
Yeah. What do you think, Naomi? Does unsanctioned art have a place in the city?
I think so, and I think that it is a fine line, and who's the arbiter of what is art versus what is defacing. But I think that is what gives a city personality. And as a travel writer, I go to places and look at street art, and that is a lot of what shapes how people see a city, and it shows the personality of a city and sort of the zeitgeist. What is happening in that moment, and what are people thinking about? And I think that it is important to not let that get painted over and live in a sea of gray paint.
Are there good street art cities?
Yeah, there's a lot of them. Most recently, I went on a street art tour in Bogota. I was in Tirana, Albania, and just beautiful murals, really wonderful, meaningful things. And, you know, if you go with someone who can explain what each thing is, you learn so much about the city by looking at them.
Interesting. Yeah, sure. Where does SPU show up in this? Do they have a say? It's their building.
Technically, yes. I wonder if there can be some kind of agreement struck. And I actually have seen people... I saw a Reddit thread this morning of someone trying to broker an agreement and saying, hey, if you're the artist, like, reach out to this person with the city. And of course, all the commenters are like, it's a trap.
Well, and we can't confirm that those are actual conversations that have taken place, right? Because it was on a Reddit thread. But it is interesting. I wonder if Seattle Public Utilities, right, had the right to say something, but maybe it wasn't the best move to just go paint it.
Yeah.
Maybe the PR here didn't work in their favor a little bit.
I think that there is always a moment where it's like someone needs to step back and think about what can be done versus what should be done. Exactly. What is the legal and the bureaucratic answer versus what feels right? What captures the moment?
The city of Seattle, the city council recently upped the penalties for graffiti, but people who are fans of St. Rat have pointed out that there are plenty of other tags on that building that have been left undisturbed and untouched. And St. Rat, or someone dressed in an inflatable rat costume, went before the city council's Parks Committee this week, throwing around some one-liners and asking for the mosaic to be protected.
City kept coming out and painting over me. People would bring me offerings and I wasn't even there. I haven't seen people waste that much cheese since you guys gave $457 million to the police department.
Okay, so this is the same city council that shuts down public comment and allowed a person in a inflatable rat costume to enter into the record as Saint Rat and defend this public art. Is some of this because we like it? Would it be less defensible if not so many people liked it?
It certainly helps the public sentiment it certainly helps that people really enjoy this piece of art.
It speaks to people.
I think, honestly, if anyone is going to take the time to create a mosaic like that, most of the time it just kind of stays. I feel like I've seen mosaics often not on a building, certainly maybe not a SPU building where they have full latitude to paint over it technically, but I've definitely seen it like in the street, like on the sidewalk. And I don't know how much of it is sanctioned by the city or just how much of it is people went in and did it themselves and figured no one is going to take issue with this.
An unofficial St. Rat fan account, again, posted, Reddit is really, really on fire.
That's where it's at right
rat.
now.
Reddit has their finger on the rat pulse.
Yeah, they really do. The account called it a rejection of community joy and a betrayal of Seattle's cultural soul. I feel like this is about as Seattle as it gets.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, also, it's a Rad City, right? Like, we got to have hot rat summer in Rad City.
I also think there's something about a rodent that really captures the moment in the world that we can all really look up to a trash scavenging rodent.
Well, is this just Seattle being Seattle defending something offbeat, or is there a larger debate here about the nature of art?
Not mutually exclusive. I mean, it is very Seattle to be arguing about this particular public art in a park that has been a center of city life and the center of a lot of controversial city events over many years. But I do think also, yeah, it's worth having a conversation about what kind of public art do we want? Like, what kind of permissions? Like, I mean, I've heard people say, like, maybe they should have, like, asked the city. It's like, who would they ask? What
Does that defeat the purpose of Hot Rat Summer? Hot Rat Summer sanctioned?
Hot Rat Summer asks for forgiveness, not permission.
Yeah, absolutely.
The thing that I always come back to is we are a city whose most famous, maybe, piece of art is hostile architecture. It's an 18-foot troll that lives under a bridge that was designed not to let people experiencing houselessness live in a little bit of shelter. And
a literal troll.
A literal troll. And I feel like Hot Rat Summer is like the opposite. It's not doing anything to anyone. It's just like pure rodent joy.
If the meeting is real, should this artist take this meeting with the city?
Ooh, I kind
Do
of
you lose your edge if you collaborate?
I like that we have like a little local Banksy.
A Ratsy.
A Ratsy.
I agree. I think there's...
It's a brand now.
Yeah.
It's a brand.
I also love the spirit of just creating art because you wanted to create art, not because you wanted recognition or notoriety or any kind of acknowledgement of it besides people enjoying it. And I mean, if this person does want to come forward, I totally appreciate that they might want to advocate for their own work. But I kind of love that we don't know who they are.
Mm-hmm. We need to start thinking into the future. Will Hot Rat Summer have less appeal in the winter? Should the artist start thinking about a sequel, maybe?
I mean, I feel like I'll look upon that fondly when it's raining and I'm walking through Cal Anderson in December and I'm like, I remember Hot Rat Summer.
All right. We can get nostalgic for our...
Hot Rat Summer is a state of mind. All right, moving on to our next topic. Seattle hit a big milestone for rides on Lime vehicles this month. You know them, maybe you hate them. They're the green electric scooters and bikes and gliders you see around town. People in Seattle took 1.05 million trips on Lime vehicles in June. That's a Seattle record, almost doubling the amount of uses from June last year. The company says people have taken more than 4 million rides in Seattle this year. Either of you one of those 4 million riders? Have you ever used a Lime scooter or bike?
A long time ago, back before they had e-bikes, back in the summer of 2017, when I think Lime was one of like maybe 3 or 4 different bike share companies that was trying to establish footing. But after that, I mean, I will credit Lime and all of those companies with reminding me that it's actually really fun to ride a bike around town and that that's often the fastest way to get around town. And now I just ride my own bike.
I have my own e-bike. I have ridden the Lime e-bikes a decent amount, and I just rode one of the gliders for the first time.
Ooh, how are they?
It was great, and it was exactly what I needed. My bus had been rerouted because of an event at the stadium, and so I got dropped off like a mile south of where I had hoped to be, and like 5 minutes before I needed to be there, I got off the bus. There was one sitting right there. I didn't need to download an app or anything. I just scanned it, and I hopped on, and I made it to my
Super.
on time.
Exactly. That's exactly one of the ways that people should be using them, right? That last mile thing. I'm always tempted when I get off the light rail. I have about a 17-minute walk from the light rail to my house, which is good for my heart, but I always, I don't always want to do it. I keep looking at those Lime scooters thinking I could just hop right on one of those things if I want to be home in probably 10 minutes, but I don't have a helmet with me, and that stops me. We can talk about that in a minute because... Man, safety, safety, safety. The Times says Seattle is really up there in terms of Lime ridership. The company says Seattle is the second busiest behind the other Washington, D.C. Why do you think they're so popular here in Seattle specifically?
Hills. Also, the final mile problem, as you alluded to. I think I, too, am about 20 minutes from the closest light rail station. There's often that awkward mile where you get off transit between where you're trying to get to and where you've gotten off.
Yeah.
And they can fill that gap. And sometimes, you don't want to walk it because it is straight uphill.
Yeah, I think if we had better public transit, it might be less popular.
We've cornered the market because of our somewhat lacking public transit stops. Okay. There may be an issue here, though, of course, because with more rides comes more injury. Like I mentioned, I don't ride because I don't have a helmet on me. Researchers at the University of Washington found that injuries on micro-mobility vehicles like e-scooters have increased year over year in Washington since 2020. The researchers used medical encounters at Seattle hospitals to track that data. Okay, anecdata time. Out of every 10 times you see someone on a Lime scooter or bike, how often are they wearing a helmet, riding it safely?
I have never, ever seen a person on a Lime scooter with a helmet. I've seen people with their own personal scooters wearing a helmet, but I have never seen a casual Lime scooter person wearing a helmet. I feel like that almost kind of defeats the purpose. It's like, what are you going to... I mean, I've run into this myself where if I want to take a rental bike or something, like, what do I do? Carry around a helmet all day?
Yes.
I mean...
I have done that.
Yes. I mean, I have my helmet right next to me, so I guess I shouldn't
You
speak.
already are.
But I mean, I think often you're not planning on it, right? I think that's the kind
Right.
of, that's the reason.
It's a spur of the moment
Yes.
thing.
Like my example of last Friday, I have seen people occasionally wearing them. I think that there is a balance. I do think that one of the bike shares at one point had some sort of helmet program.
I feel like there was.
And I think everyone was just stealing the helmets because I saw them all over the place, even when they weren't on the actual bikes.
When I run for mayor, everybody gets a helmet and a light vest. That is my platform.
I want to say it was for the docked bikes.
Oh, yeah.
And so they were at the dock.
That was
Yeah.
really early 2000s.
It was,
Yeah.
yes.
Lime argues 99.99% of trips end without incident. I am dubious of that figure. Not everyone reports a crack up. UW researchers also noted that many of the people injured on e-scooters reported drinking alcohol before crashing. The same thing. Don't get in a car. Don't get on a scooter if you've been drinking. Does that track? Do Lime scooters feel like a quick way to get home after a night out?
I mean, that is like the number one use case I see. I mean, that's probably just bias of when I tend to be out in town is when I'm also out on the town for whatever reason. But drunk, like 3 drunk people on a scooter with not wearing a helmet, zipping around in an unpredictable way, that is like, in my head, the quintessential Lime scooter use case.
I would say I have seen some people fall off them, and all of them involved bad decision making. And we know that alcohol just exacerbates bad decision making. So don't doubt it for a minute.
People also leave them all over the damn sidewalk.
And then if you try and move them, it yells at you.
They're
It
locked,
makes
I know.
Loud alarm sound. It's awful. And
No.
then everyone thinks you're trying to steal it. And you're like, no, I just am trying to move it so that anyone can use the sidewalk.
It's seriously, it blocks the sidewalk for pedestrians, people with disabilities. Like, please.
This part feels like a real "this is why we can't have nice things."
We
feels
finally
like
got
that.
into the "this is why we can't have nice things" part of the show.
It does feel like, I don't know if you all have heard of the like grocery cart problem.
Yes.
For those who aren't familiar, the idea is like we live in a society and the question is like, do you bring your grocery cart back to the little corral at the end of your shopping trip, or do you just like leave it in the middle of the parking lot? And I mean, if you've ever been to a grocery store parking lot, a lot of people don't put them back, right? And I feel like the same is true of Lime scooters, where people don't always leave them in a place where they're thinking about how other people might be affected by that in the long run.
Yep. And like Lime and grocery stores, you got to throw resources behind that. Lime had to start sending people out on foot patrols to fix it. You've probably seen the vans where they pull all the old ones in and, you know.
It seems like an interesting job.
It kind of does. It kind of does. Is the lack of responsibility a reason for Lime's popularity? Just the ability to ride somewhere and dump it when you're done? You don't have to worry about being stolen.
I mean, I do think the ease of it is part of it. I mean, okay. I mean, obviously, I'm being like Scooter's #1 hater here. But I do think that part of it is the popularity of these speaks to a missing need in our society. And I think as long as people are going to be using them, we should be creating infrastructure to make them safer. I find that, like, you know, one of the reasons that people are on sidewalks is because it's unclear to them whether they can be using the bike lane or not. Or
It's
should
also
they be in the
damn
road.
dangerous in the street.
It is also dangerous in the street. I mean, I think also a lot of the use cases for these scooters are in places that don't necessarily have bike lanes, right? Or like folks who are using them are not necessarily as familiar with like the existing bike lane infrastructure and don't know like where to go to take the best route. As much as I don't love scooters, I do think that we could do a lot more to make them safer. It's not just on individuals to, follow every rule at all times, because people in cars don't do that either,
No, and I think that is the thing, even coming back to the helmets, it goes back to the Amsterdam scenario where helmets are not as important because you don't have cars running people down. And I think that as much as I would love for us to solve the problem by, individual responsibility the American way, I think that some infrastructure
could help.
Meeting the need that is clearly there would be great.
Yeah. All right. We're going to leave it there. Jane C. Hu is a freelance journalist. Naomi Tomky is Seattle Met's food and drink editor. Thanks, Naomi.
Thank you.
Thanks, Jane.
Always good to be here.
Appreciate you listening to Seattle Now. Today's episode was produced by Vaughn Jones. It was edited by Caroline Chamberlain Gomez. Our production team also includes Andy Hurst, Brooklyn Jamerson Flowers, Shane Mailing, and Paige Browning. Greg Kramer does our theme music. Seattle Now and KUOW Public Radio are members of the NPR network. I'm Patricia Murphy. See you soon.